Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I'm Jim Punzenberger, your host, and this episode is brought to you by my day job, managedprospectingsystem.com, which is authority content, LinkedIn outreach, targeted email, and a backdoor way into prospects. Multiple pillars done for you every week. So check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Today, I'm excited to have Jake Gomez, president of Battle Tested Placement. 30 years in the workforce industry. He connects transitioning service members, veterans, and military-connected professionals with civilian careers, which must be super rewarding. His walk-up song is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. And for a company called Battle Tested, that's the only right answer, Jake. It's got to be a song from Metallica.
That's right. That's
So
right.
welcome.
I better not pick something too soft with a name like Battle Tested, right, Jim?
So welcome to Profits of IT. Tell us more about what Battle Tested does and why you built it.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jim. So Battle Tested at the end of the day is, yeah, you hit it for us, and thank you for sharing that. We help service members transition into meaningful careers. Our founder, Casey Holliday, started this back, gosh, about 2016 or so, Jim, as he was getting out of, he was in the Marines for many years, a couple tours in Iraq, and just getting out there was just such a challenge for service members and folks that are leaving the military. And so he actually started really from a security side. And maybe for a quick sec, there's actually three pieces of the battle tested companies,
Sure.
Jim. There is the Battle Tested Foundation, which is our nonprofit side, and it's resources around transitioning support, education, and benefits navigation for service members. And then we also have Battle Tested USA, and this is what I want to bring up with Casey. He was working an event, actually like in a special event, and they needed security, and so he called up some of his Marine buddies and got a host of them there, and Battle Tested USA was born, if you will. And so from there, it morphed into bringing the foundation to say, you know what, how can we help more service members exiting and veterans, to use all these resources at their disposal. And then, last but definitely not least, the battle tested placement. That's where I come in, Jim. We were helping with resources. We were helping with, I'll say, immediate jobs with the security. These special events that, by the way, we do Super Bowls and NASCARs and music festivals, all sorts of fun
Mm-hmm.
events. But it wasn't that last piece, and that's we really want to help them find careers. And so when Casey called me up to said, "Hey, we would love to talk to you about coming in," because I've been here about 2 months now. Even though when you said 30 years, I'm like, "Gosh, Jim, I'm getting old." Um, I've only been here a couple of months and building this thing out, building out the placement piece of it, and so it's actually been a lot of fun around that. But anyway, since you're asking kind of the foundation of and how Battle Tested started, I wanted to share a little bit about that and where we're at and what I'm looking to do on the placement side within the battle tested companies.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So let's shift gears here a moment. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions here. And more specifically, I like to ask guests about truth bomb or something that typically goes against the grain of the industry. And you said employers say they can't find qualified talent, but the talent exists. That's the hiring systems just aren't built to recognize the capabilities that don't come in a traditional corporate package. What's broken about how companies are hiring?
Yeah, so I'll start with the piece that we've all seen, right? The advancement of AI right across the board. And to be clear, I'm a huge I love tech. I've taken courses for prompt engineering and agentic AI, and I've got certifications across the board. So it's important for us, Jim. But part of that though is as we're solving recruiting problems out there these days, is automation always the best answer, right? Let's make it more, let's improve some speeds, let's improve, hopefully can help some insights. But automating a flawed hiring process, um, you just it's going to allow you to make bad decisions faster. And so for me, that's kind of where it ties in around, the qualified talent, finding that talent. Because I feel like right now, and even when I left, Manpower Group after, 14 years earlier this year, and while I was already, working on what I'm at now, I took a peek out there, and it was fascinating, Jim, to see, there's the avenue from the companies, and then there's the avenues from the job seekers. And Jim, I just feel like we're kind of like passing in the night, two
Hmm.
ships passing in the night, to use that old adage. And I think that's where kind of a truth bomb for me is like, even though we've gained efficiencies, have we lost what really has made, hiring people, really successful? And I would say part of that is a human touch, is being able to translate, what someone does into, the right role. Because look, at the end of the day, Jim, a lot of times it's just about the responsibility. Well, what are some of those outcomes that you're looking for, right? What are you really looking for this person to do? These new hires, yes, skills are important, but what is that why, right? What are we trying to build into? And then how does this fit into the team overall, right? Of course, I'm talking about, culture here, Jim, is a big piece as well. And so I feel like when you put all that together, we're missing the boat a little bit out there. And I can say that as a 30-year industry veteran.
Hmm.
I think we've done phenomenal things. I've always loved the purpose of helping people, find work. But I think for me, translation piece, and you want to talk about veterans and the service member space, translation is very challenging for people, right?
Yes,
They
I
have,
believe that.
yeah, they have exceptional talents and experiences, and their MOS, basically the codes they get from, the job they're doing in the military, it doesn't always easily translate. But gosh,
Like,
if you put the time in and help them share that story, there's some unbelievable people to put to work. And I think it's a piece that, we do miss I'll say, as a society in the US here. While we've done well, we can do better, right? There's
hmm.
over 200,000 service men and women, Jim, that leave the military every year.
Wow.
And there's a lot of services like us out there that look to support. I think we could do a better job of it. And
Yes.
that for me is around talking about that truth bomb about, using the AI and making sure that we're translating better.
Right. I see that, and that the uh, the military jargon doesn't necessarily translate well to the private business community, and they have exceptional skills, and it would be great at many positions. But how how do we convert, the corporate environment or the standard uh, recruiting processes that are built around, like a college education system and such degrees, those things versus the military where it's like you said, MOS system. Um, how can any insight on ways that we can do better?
Yeah, 100%, Jim. So I'll tell you, I was fortunate. I've been part of World Economic Forum Advanced Manufacturing Group, and they put out an initiative earlier this year. It's called the Smart Start Initiative. It was launched in Davos. And the purpose of it is to prepare 1 million young people for advanced manufacturing jobs. I share that with you because, again, like there is a skills gap, right? We have to train people differently. Obviously, the AI piece coming in, right? All those things. But I'm bringing up around the translation because, again, there's over 200,000 veterans coming out. I have a feeling there's probably a few of those folks that could really fit into, some of these kind of new, advanced manufacturing roles that we could do a better job at doing. And so, like I said, for me, I come back to that translation piece, and not just about veterans, by the way. I think in general, and I tie back to the AI comment I made before. While it's made things more efficient, I feel like sometimes we hit the button and let it go, and we're not taking the time to really go, okay, is the letting go and hitting that button, is it working? right? And are we do we have that oversight to make sure that while we're doing some of the work, some of the judgment can still be, left in human hands.
Right. Well, that's, I guess, a thought that I think I've had myself, and I appreciate you expressing it.
I may
So,
get in trouble later, Jim, but I'm sticking with it. So
well, let's shift gears here a moment, and I love asking about what I call $1 million learning moment, and something in your career that you really learned from greatly. And when we talked earlier, you mentioned early in your career, you let a recruiter go. Your manager asked if that person had been expecting it, and you said they should have expected it. And your manager told you that that this was an unacceptable answer. I want to expand on this story and what you've learned from it.
yeah, I would love to, Jim. So yeah, unacceptable answer. I'm being nice. The conversation was a little more direct, if you will. But yeah, no. So for me, this when you ask me about $1 million learning moment, it's something I still use today, Jim. And by the way, this happened late '90s, as I date myself. I was just moved into call it a sales manager role, over a small office, and just let him know kind of what happened through the week, and that I let this recruiter go. And he started asking questions around again, like, hey, what did I do for this individual, right? Did we do everything we could, and again, he started with, well, what happened? I was like, well, did they expect it? And I answered they should have, right? And it conversation changed quick. But I've never forgotten that, because at the end of the day, Jim, did I make the expectations so clear, right? Did I give them honest feedback throughout when maybe they weren't quite aligning to or hitting those expectations that they needed? Offering the necessary support for them to be successful, right? Did I put that time in? And I had to quickly go, and he was at 100% right. It should never be. They should have. They should know, because I was clear, right? There's clarity around what we do. I put the work in to make them great. And look, even if you do that, sometimes folks still don't work out, and that's okay, but it shouldn't be a should have. I need to be able to look myself in the eye, when you look in the mirror, if you will, and go, you know what? I've done everything I possibly could do for an individual to have success. And that's something I've never forgotten. And it's funny. Again, as I'm building battle tested placement from the ground up, and I'm hiring a couple of recruiters here very soon. You should see the expectation, and the clarity, and the program I've built out to share, and to make sure that we spend time together, to make sure they are as successful as they can be. And so I'll tell you, that was a tough conversation, but not as tough as that recruiter that lost their job. That I probably,
Right.
not probably, I should have done better. Speaking of using the word should have, making sure that was crystal clear. And I think about that every time I have set up or hire people or train people. Like, am I doing all that I can to make this individual successful in whatever that role is? And in doing so, I think I've definitely made me a better leader over the years, Jim.
Well, you mentioned battle-tested placement. So, Jake, the floor is yours. Tell us more about how employers can partner with you to build veterans, hiring pipelines of veterans, and how to connect with you.
Yeah, no, appreciate that, Jim. So, look, I think for me, I'll say a call to action for the audience. If your organization wants to hire more veterans, Jim, but maybe struggle to turn that, commitment into, consistent results, right? I mean, kind of we talk about the translation piece, right? Things like that sometimes don't match up. I would love to have a conversation with you. Would love to sit down, understand what you're looking to do. And you want to go get some access to some strong military, I'll say military connected, not even, just service members or veterans. We could be, obviously, we're talking spouses as well, right? Just I'll say military connected talent. And you're looking to really make an impact in this group. I can tell you, the folks I've already met with over my couple of months here, they can make an impact for you and your business. So if there's one thing there, if you're thinking about it, or you want to expand, or a lot of places do have veteran, community structures already place some sort of a, resource group or what have you. But we would love to have that conversation and do we can to be a part. Because at the end of the day, going back to our mission to help every service member out there successfully transition into civilian life. And like I'd mentioned, there's over 200,000 plus every year, Jim, coming out. And there's some great companies and support out there already, but we can do more.
So what would be a good way of getting in touch with you?
So I would say LinkedIn is by far the best, Jim. They can ping me there, and please have them reference, Profits of IT, and then we can set up time to connect.
So viewers, check the show notes below for Jake's LinkedIn information. And thank you for sharing today, Jake. Any final thoughts?
No, just thank you, Jim, for your time. I appreciate the show that you put on. I think it's great for different folks from, I've had a chance to watch some of your podcasts and just, thank you for it. And thank you to the audience as well for listening to this 30-year-old vet.
Well, thank you for sharing, Jake. This has been another episode of Profits of IT with Jake, who has 30 years in workforce experience, a mission to connect veterans with the careers that they've earned, and a leadership lesson that should be required reading for every manager. Clarity is kindness. So thanks again, and until next time, stay hydrated and caffeinated. Bye for now.
Thanks, Jim. Bye.